All right, so I want to talk about the Colt Cobra, specifically the Colt Night Cobra. There's just not much out there about this revolver, and for those of you who are revolver enthusiasts, may find it interesting because it has kind of an interesting history, and there really isn't much information out there about it in terms of reviews or just information in general. So I thought it would be useful to go through a little bit of that, considering the fact that I just bought this Colt Night Cobra last week and took it out for some shooting here just this weekend. So let's talk about the Colt Night Cobra. To do that, we have to first look at the history of the Colt Cobra. Now, the original Colt Cobra was produced by Colt from 1950 to 1981. It was an aluminum framed revolver with steel cylinder and steel barrel, and it was specifically marketed to law enforcement, as sort of a detective weapon. And because it was very light, it became very popular. It was about 7 ounces lighter than the Colt Detective Special. So for that reason, it found a lot of use among law enforcement and even in the civilian market. And so Colt then discontinued the Cobra in the early 80s in 81. And gradually their revolver business just really stumbled in the 80s, and by the end of the 80s they really stopped making anything that we wanted and thought that they could focus their business specifically on military contracts. And you've got a whole decade like of the 90s where they just really weren't making anything, which you know we can talk a great deal about that. Was that a smart business decision by Colt? um, I don't think it was. Their stuff is still very collectible, though. It's highly desirable, and everything that Colt makes, people buy it up anyway. So maybe it was a smart decision in the long run to impose some scarcity on the market. Who knows? But in any case, Colt decided, I'm sure after doing a survey and finding that the revolver market was an untapped resource, Colt decided to re-enter the market, the revolver market, in 2017 with the Colt Cobra, which is this weapon right here, this stainless steel this stainless steel weapon was the 2017 Colt Cobra. Now it has very little in common with the original Cobra. It's an all steel revolver, and it has this very very nice Hogue rubber grip. Basically a 2.5, about a 2-inch barrel, and it's just a very very good weapon. 6-shot revolver, and I can tell you I've shot this a great deal, and it's a fantastic revolver. I really love it. The way that because I have large hands, this big Hogue grip just fits really well in the hand, and the action is so smooth, so smooth. Double action, extremely smooth. Single action, also very very nice. So this is a fantastic revolver, and this was the 2017 Colt Cobra. Now, at the same time, right around this time, Colt released another version of the Cobra called the Night Cobra, the Colt Night Cobra. I don't know if it was in 2017. It may have been a year after that. And the Night Cobra had, instead of Hogue grips, it had G10 grips. G10 grips. It had a bobbed hammer. It did not have an exposed hammer like this. It was sort of a truncated hammer. They call it a bobbed hammer. And but it did have all this. It had a black finish, a black matte finish. It wasn't the traditional Colt bluing. It was, I think, a DLC, diamond-like carbon coating finish, which I think is what this is. Now I do not have that version of the Night Cobra. Colt discontinued that very quickly after making it, and there are just not many of them out there. They're highly collectible. I think it was only manufactured for like a year or so. I mean, God only knows how many they made, but you just can't find them. And you can see them on Gunbroker, and they just command very, very high prices. And I would have liked to have gotten one, but it's just not that important for me to spend that kind of money to get one. But that was the Night Cobra. Now, Colt recently produced another version of the Night Cobra, which is this, which I recently bought, and it's it's exactly the same as the 2017 stainless steel Cobra, except it has the DLC coating finish, and it has these traditional service grips, these walnut service grips, which are not as pleasurable to the hand, at least to my hand, as the Hogue grips, but definitely more aesthetically pleasing. I mean, this revolver screams tradition. If you look at this, I mean, this is about as close as we can get, probably, to a modern version of the Detective Special. This here, and it's got a very, very smooth action. I put about 60 rounds through this thing this weekend, and it just has again, just like the stainless steel Cobra, has a very, very smooth, extremely smooth double action trigger, and the single action breaks very crisply. Just a fantastic revolver. And it's not even on Colt's website. If you go, at least last time I checked about 7 to 10 days ago, and I didn't even find it on there. So God only knows how many of these they're going to produce before Colt pulls the model from production. And they have a habit. Colt has a habit of doing that. What they'll do is they'll put out their guns for a certain period of time, and then they'll suddenly pull them and they become collector's pieces. So if you're thinking about getting a traditional looking Colt snub nose, the Night Cobra is a fantastic choice. And just for comparison, I have here what I can do is I can put this to the side here. This is the Smith & Wesson Model 36. The Smith & Wesson Model 36, which is a five-shot revolver. The action is not as smooth, of course, as the Colt, but it's a little bit smaller and a little bit more concealable. So, they're both fantastic weapons. And if you are really into snub-nosed revolvers, which I am, I just find them, I don't know, just very, very collectible, very fun to shoot. You might want to consider also the Model 36. This is the Chief Special. This is a modern production version of the Chief Special, and as you can see, it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit smaller than the Colt Night Cobra, but a fine revolver in its own right. Now, how does the Colt Cobra handle? How's the shooting? Well, it's one of the misperceptions, and I think people set themselves up for disappointment with snub-nosed revolvers. These are not meant to be target shooting, draw a bead, accurate, super accurate. These are defensive, close-in weapons designed to be used, at 20 feet or less. So you're not going to get the kind of groupings, you're not going to get the kind of accuracy you're going to get with maybe a 4 1/4 inch or a 6-inch revolver. And so you have to understand that. You have to just learn to accept that. That's just how it is. But they are fantastic personal defense options, carry options, because they're just so convenient, reliable, and frankly, they just have their own aura and own aesthetic about them. So again, I put about 60 rounds through the Night Cobra this weekend, and no misfires, no light primer strikes, no problems, no issues. So I would, I definitely recommend it. And who knows when Colt is going to start making them. So if you're thinking about getting one, now would be the time to do it. All right. And that'll wind things up here. And keep on blasting, keep on crunching.